what you learn about some of the young guys in their development and guys that you look like they may have earned themselves a spot?
Of our young guys, our 6 young guys, so to speak, that we have, I think all of them got better individually during the season. Obviously, they still got to get more consistent. There's areas that each of them need to work on. But I think they brought it every day. They played hard. They worked hard. They had individually some very, very impressive games. Look at Dylan last night, for example. We saw growth there. And while this was not the season we hoped for, it did provide us an opportunity for those guys to get on the floor, get some actual playing time, and for us to evaluate them.
How excited is this draft, knowing that you're going to be one of the top teams?
We're top 5, and then 32 very early in the second round. So it's a tremendous opportunity that these 2 draft spots have provided us. And we've done a lot of work on that, and there's a great deal still to continue.
Chris, you might have touched on it just a second ago, but how long will the team wait to make a decision?
There's no timetable, Mike.
I mean, but obviously with so much at stake with this draft, is it something that the team wants to get done? I know you want to do the right thing, but...
I mean, yeah, we're going to move in due time, and we don't feel hurried. There's no timetable, and we'll start, getting through that process now.
Will you open up? I mean, like, will you interview other candidates for...
We haven't really decided what route we're going on that as far as doing interviews or anything like that. It's just getting started now. The season's over with.
Well, last time it was like a 3-week, 4-week process.
I mean, they all take their own life, Ron. I mean, some are very quick, some take forever. I mean, I've seen teams go way beyond 3 weeks. So we don't have any timetable at this point.
But David, you said it was your hire at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to be picking the head coach, or when you see you say we? Who's?
Well, when I say we, everything's a collaborative effort. We all seek each other's opinions. We all have our own sources of information throughout the league. So I always refer to it as we rather than I, but I'm the guy at the top of the hierarchy, and that has my name behind the decisions.
What did you like from what you saw with JP this year? Because obviously he wasn't dealing with a full roster for any part of the season.
Well, a number of things. One, he's very even-keeled. He doesn't get too down in the bad times. He's not over the moon in the good times. He gets these guys come in and work and are focused every day. I mean, he has their respect. He's very capable on both sides of the ball. He's terrific in player development, which is very important right now with so many young players we have. And again, I go back to, I think maybe the most impressive part of the interim season that he took over, Mike, was after Charlotte. I mean, 61-point loss, things are looking very gloomy. He snapped that team back right away from the next game against the Lakers. We didn't win, but we made our point in that game, and then I think we had a couple wins in a row, and we've been very competitive ever since. Like last night, it would have been very easy with the hoopla in Oklahoma City, last game of the season, Russell Westbrook going for the triple-double average. You get down 27, you end up losing that game by 50. And we got right back in it, and I was very proud how the guys snapped back and got back in that game as well. So that, to me, typified the way we played. The losses obviously piled up. You can't point to any gaudy record, but when you're watching it day by day, step by step, practice by practice, there was improvement, and everybody stayed on point and did not wallow in the fact that it was a difficult situation.
There was some level of uncertainty at the ownership level up until a couple of days ago. That seems to be cleared up.
Absolutely, it's cleaned up, and that's fantastic news for us, the city, and our fans.
Have you gotten indication since then that the front office that's currently in place will remain intact going forward?
No, I've not had any of those type of discussions, but I'm not anticipating a change.
Chris, once upon a time there was a 3-year plan that you had to execute. And so you got 3 max guys, you got a top pick. How would you articulate what you guys are envisioning?
I would say that the plan on the short-term side of it, Ron, is to get back into the swing of things in our custom part. We've been in the last 7 years in the playoffs. And let's get into playoffs and let's make some noise. I don't see any reason why we can't be a very competitive, viable team next year. We get Mike Conley healthy. We've got a tremendous amount of experience that has been built up and playing time by these younger guys. We've seen guys that can definitely be in the rotation. Mark still has many years in front of him. I thought Chandler played better this year. We're optimistic about next year. We saw Vince Carter did in the 3rd year back from his surgery. And we're going to have a top 5 pick or whatever that brings you on the trade route. So we got a lot of options with a mid-level exception. Excited about next year. I think we're going to be a pretty good team next year.
Does that desire to be good next season, and you have more pieces in place to be good than most teams that have a high pick, but does that desire to be good and potential of being good put more short-term emphasis on your decision with that pick
No,
than
no.
Okay.
That pick will be long-term, but the players that are up there, I mean, you guys know all the viable candidates at that end of the draft. They can provide, I think, relatively short-term. There's obviously a little bit of an indoctrination in the NBA, but those guys aren't 3 or 4 year projects, and they also have a tremendous runway in front of them as well. So I think they can hit both sides of the plate in that, so to speak.
Are you optimistic that Tyreek will come back?
Tyreek will be come back?
Yeah.
We'll make our run at Tyreek, as I said, coming out of the trade deadline. There's many variables out there that I can't control, from the other teams in the league. Yeah, we're going to go take a run at him and see what that brings us.
Chris, how high of a priority is bringing back Tyreek for you?
Well, I mean, it's something we'd like to do. We're interested in him. Again, we'll see where free agency takes us. I mean, we're a little ways away from that.
Just with the way that the trade deadline rounded out, I know you said keeping him was a bird in the hand versus the 2 in the bush with the second round picks. Where is the bird on that if he doesn't come back?
Well, I don't regret it. Even if Tyreek doesn't come back, I don't regret not doing the deal. I mean, we've got a very high second round pick. We have other second round picks, and it was useful to have him around.
Chris, there's so much excitement in the city. For the first time in a long time, Grizzlies haven't picked this high. But there's also the history of maybe not doing as well with first-round picks. How do you balance those? And is there an excitement level?
But we did get Mike Conley once and for.
That was a long time ago, though. So
he's still with us.
And Jarrell's the only other one, though. So how do you balance needing to make this pick right?
Well, we need to make this pick right regardless of whatever past history or other considerations out there. It's a great opportunity, and one that we've taken very seriously. We poured a tremendous amount of man hours into this so far, and again, there's ways to go. We're very excited about this selection. We like the group that's up there. I mean, obviously, we're going to talk to the rest of the league and see. I mean, you never lock yourself into drafting. I mean, you have to see if there's a trade that can be done. But barring a trade, I mean, we'll be very comfortable drafting up there and very optimistic that guy is going to be a big part of our future.
So you guys squeeze him into the lottery.
Well, I mean, you never go into everything and say, we're definitely doing X, Y, Z, Mike, at this point in time. I mean, there are trades to be done. You don't know if a team's going to call in by draft day and knock you off your socks. I mean, with some great veteran player. So you prepare both. You prepare, see what's out there, and then you also prepare for the draft, which we've been doing. But if the draft route's the way we go, we're very excited about that, comfortable making a selection, and again, this is an opportunity we have not had for quite some time. It's rare to have a team that's been in the playoffs 7 straight years, still have their key players coming back, and several more years of productive play in front of it when you get a chance to make a top 5 pick.
Things have changed a lot in the league since Mike was drafted. That's different stuff. Do you guys? How's your evaluation process changed? Because
well, everything changes, Peter, as you go along. I mean, there's more analytics, obviously, involved in it than there was when we made the Mike Conley selection back. I believe what was that 2007. Your scouting staffs have increased. There was an international emphasis then, as there is now. You look more at probably the medical side. You always did, but you have more resources now to best you can try to predict the future health of a player. Although that's a little bit of a swinging target. So it's much the same process, but again, with more manpower, more technology than you had at that point in time that you had.
If you guys, self-scouting, you guys have done better than expected in the second round, undrafted guys, but not as well as expected in the first round. Have you figured? Is there an internal discussion about why that would be?
We discuss that and self-evaluate all the time. You can't be more critical about yourself than I am. Right? It just doesn't. It's just not possible. So we don't sit back and say, well, that one missed because we were just unlucky. I mean, there's reasons why when you make a mistake, you make it, and you try to correct that.
Do you feel confident that they're corrected?
Yeah, but every draft's a new set of players too, right? You try to use your past history, Peter, but also you have to allow for whatever new variables come along with this particular group of players.
You're confident Mark is going to, he said he's going to talk to Robert and he wants to hear about the vision of the organization. After that, do you want him to be part of the team going
Absolutely.
forward? And are you confident he will want to be?
I mean, Mark has had a terrific run so far here. He's brought a great deal of winning, excitement, and passion to the Grizzlies, and we continue to go forward with him. I mean, that's one of the great things about the upcoming future. Again, very rarely do you have a high pick, Jeff, when you have a Mike Conley or Marcus Gasol around to guide those players into the NBA. It doesn't usually work that way.
Chandler's going forward? Are you?
Yes.
I know he's with you.
I thought you saw
going forward.
Chandler this year at times really showed, the full variety of skills he's had, and he can definitely help us win.
Peter mentioned some of the success you've had from typically marginal player pools, right? Undrafted JaMychal Green, undrafted Wayne Selden, undrafted Kobe Simmons, late second Dylan Brooks. Did Marshawn Brooks surprise you?
When we signed him, did I expect him to come in and what was it, 6 straight games over 20? No, I didn't expect that, even though he's a scorer.
How do you evaluate
I'm
that?
not going to lie about that.
How do you evaluate that given the part of the season that it
But
happened?
Marshawn, just look at his past track record. Going back to college, Marshawn had a 52-point game, I believe, at Providence against Notre Dame. He was picked in the 20s. He was a second-team all-rookie selection. He averaged, I think, 7 points a game coming off the bench over the 4 years he's in the NBA. And while it's difficult to totally extrapolate Chinese Basketball Association performance to the NBA, the guy was averaging 36 a game. And most importantly, he'd been overseas for 4 years without ever failing and being asked to go home, which can often happen to the most talented American player. And when I talked to a couple guys from here who play in China, Lester Hudson and Jarnell Stokes, I asked Lester, he said, right away, Marshawn Brooks is the best player in the league. I gave Jarnell 2 guys, and he gave me Jared Sullinger and Marshawn. And so, that, to be honest with you, that kind of put a cherry on top. You got guys that we know that know the NBA, that have been in it, and they're right there in the trenches with him. And so it was just easy to bring him over. It's a no-risk thing. Even if he had failed, so what in a 10-day? It wouldn't have hurt us, set us back at all. So what he did, obviously, was eye-opening, and we moved aggressively to try to lock him up for a part of the future.
Is it certain that Tyreek would be your top free agent target, given Marshawn Brooks and given you don't know which way the
I
draft
got to
is
look
going
at
to go?
all the free agents possibilities right now. And again, we have the full mid-level, but we also got to see who's realistic at the mid-level as well.
You mentioned
Chris, when you talk about evaluation process over time and as more international players come into play with the draft, how much does that complicate things, or do you just look at it as more opportunity?